What's up, Internet? Welcome to Mike Does Voiceovers. My name is Michael, and today we're taking one last look at the Irish language. We've already covered Irish consonant mutations, click here if you haven't seen that one, but there's one final quirk of the Irish language that I'd like to talk about. I'm talking about the notion of broad versus slender sounds in the language. In most beginner-level treatments of Irish, there aren't any real explanations for what these things mean. You're just left to figure out that the broad and slender versions of a letter just sound kinda different. But, as with anything in language, there are in fact rules that can be applied here and a clear explanation to be found. Let's start by hearing what Duolingo has to say. They introduce the concept, as most Irish language courses do, with the sentence Quail le quail agus lehan le lehan. Can never quite nail that pronunciation, which translates to slender with slender and broad with broad. This is the so-called golden rule of Irish spelling. If the vowel on one side of a consonant or group of consonants is broad, then the vowel on the other side of that consonant or group of consonants must also be broad, and the same is true of slender vowels. But what does it actually mean for a vowel to be broad or slender? According to Duolingo, broad and slender is just a way to group the vowels. Specific. Very helpful. But let's take a look at the chart that they provide. If you have any familiarity or experience with linguistics, this might look a little familiar. The first thing we need to cover in order to understand broad versus slender is the way linguists describe vowels. This is a vowel chart. Vowels are placed on this chart depending on where your tongue is positioned in your mouth when you pronounce that sound. You gotta imagine this is like a cutaway of your face in profile. So for example, this E sound is a high front vowel, but this aw sound is a low back vowel. If we simplify this chart so that it only shows Irish vowels, and then compare it to Duolingo's broad versus slender chart, it becomes clear what broad and slender actually means. Broad vowels are those vowels produced with the tongue at the back of the mouth, and slender vowels are produced with the tongue at the front of the mouth. But what does that mean for our consonants? They too are described as broad versus slender depending on the vowels that they're located next to in a word, but that doesn't neatly explain the difference in pronunciation between the two. The example that's often used to demonstrate the difference between broad and slender B, for instance, is this. The only difference in pronunciation between bio, meaning alive, and bo, meaning cow, is that the B in bio is slender, while the B in bo is broad. We can sense that there's a slight difference in how those two B's are pronounced, but it's kind of hard to put your finger on. Unless, of course, you're a linguist. First, make a B sound. B, b. Then try this. Make that E vowel sound from earlier and keep your tongue in that position. Then, while your tongue is there, try to make a B sound again. E, E, B, B, B. It sounds a little different, right? That effect is called palatalization, when the back of your tongue is pressed against your hard palate as you pronounce a sound. This effect is what gives Russian language such distinctive sound to English speaker, comrade. Was that offensive? Should I just stop doing accents? I don't know. Anyway, let's try one more thing. This time, make an aw vowel sound, and same as last time, keep your tongue there and try to make a B sound. Aw, b, b, b. Once again, a slightly different sound. This time, the back of your tongue is pressed against your soft palate, an effect called velarization. Just as an aside, as a native English speaker, I find the distinction between a velarized b and a regular b to be much more difficult to distinguish than the difference between a palatalized b and a regular b. But Let me know what you guys think. In any case, though, with a bit of linguistic knowledge, we can put aside these amorphous descriptors like broad and slender and nail down a much more concrete definition of Irish sounds. Consonants are palatalized when they're placed next to front vowels and velarized when they're placed next to back vowels. Just as we did with Irish consonant mutations and the past tense in Italian, and as we can do with pretty much any linguistic phenomenon, we were able to pick apart something that seems confusing, arbitrary, and poorly defined, and add a bit of clear-headedness and structure to things by taking a look at how language works under the hood. Thanks for watching. I hope this was of some help to anyone out there who may be struggling with Irish pronunciation. And before I go, a huge, huge thank you for 2,000 subscribers. That is just insane to me. This is not my 2,000 subscriber special. That's going to be a much, much larger video, something that I've wanted to cover for quite a while, a little bit different from my usual stuff, and definitely not coming until like mid to late summer at the earliest. But I didn't want to let another video go by without giving you all a huge thank you. Finally, I have a confession to make. I'm running out of ideas. Most of the material on this channel has been based on the research and papers and assignments that I did for my college courses, and there's only so many of those left lying around. So I want to know what you want to know. Trying to learn a language and just not getting a certain part of the grammar or pronunciation? Are you fascinated by a particular bit of linguistic history but don't really want to dive in and learn all about it yourself? Anything that you want to know about any language is fair game. Drop your ideas in the comments below or shoot me an email at mikedoesvoiceovers@gmail.com. Thanks in advance for your suggestions, and thanks again for your support. Maybe I should come up with a way to end the video besides just standing here awkwardly. I'll work on it.